Hey my squids, it's the prize-winning squid back with another speed paint for you. If you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you are returning, welcome back. You might notice something a little bit different this time. Yep, I am talking instead of text being on the screen. It's never really been about me being shy, though I am super shy, I will not lie. It's never really been about that. It's mostly just been a time thing because it takes a while and a long time to actually get your audio going and all of that good stuff. But I figure this is going to be a great way to do some speed paints and talk about my process and everything else. So welcome. We are drawing Jill Warrick from Final Fantasy XVI because Final Fantasy is my favorite series of all time. It has been the bedrock for everything that I do and love, including music, art, the way stories are told, characters, everything like that. So I'm absolutely in love with this series. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I actually want to talk a little bit about what I'm doing in this piece right now. So you saw that I had the green all over her, and that is because I was doing my gradient mapping. And with gradient mapping, you'll do your base, and then you do your shading and your lighting over top of that, and you add your colors into different layers on top of that, so that the shading and lighting determine what the colors actually look like, and not you having to hand pick every single color and hand pick every single way that a stroke is determined value wise. Another thing you will notice is that there was not a sketch for this picture, and that is because Clip Studio Paint, for whatever reason, recently, it was after an update or something, decided that it was no longer going to do time lapses. And so I didn't realize that until about midway through this picture, and that sucked. So there was no sketch phase, there was no me trying to figure things out, and you would have seen all of that. Unfortunately, that's gone. There's two pictures that I've done that do not have any time lapse at all, so I can't post those up. So thanks, Clip Studio. I still love it, but that really freaking sucked. But other than that, so I'm going through the process of kind of just like messing with my gradient values and everything in this piece right now. And then over top of it, after I get all of my values together, I'll comp them down into their own separate comp. And on top of that, I'll do additional shading, lighting, and painting. And I'll talk a little bit about that as well here in a second. But back to the Final Fantasy thing. Jill Warrick is probably top 5 characters now. Locke and Celeste obviously are like my top 2, just period. 6 was instrumental for me. 4 was how I kind of discovered it, because there was the sword on the box in Blockbuster, and I thought that was amazing. And then somebody either gave me or somehow I obtained Final Fantasy 1 like a year later. So we're talking like 1992, 93, just to show my age. I was old enough to be able to play these games and understand the stories and everything else that was going on with them. But yeah, it's been like my favorite freaking series like of all time. So that's just one of those things I think just you kind of grow up with, and it just kind of embodies a lot of, what you like and what you are drawn to. A lot of the things I create could be dropped into a Final Fantasy like world and just live there, and I think it just informs kind of like how I think. I mean, there's other things like Battle Angel Alita is definitely one of my top 3-4 things in life that I think is amazing. Iria Zeram is also kind of like that, or Silent Mobius or Aeon Flux is kind of like that same level of like the art style just really resonates with me kind of deal. So Final Fantasy is like that for me. But with this piece, one of the things that I really wanted to do, I didn't want to get too focused in the details. So I wanted some of the details to be loose and feel organic and feel good. One of the things I realized with gradient mapping that I kind of been stuck on is that you can try to get too deep into the details when you're doing it. When you're using gradient mapping, you should not get deep into the details. It's big strokes, big swaths of the picture that you're supposed to be trying to work with. And so as you watch me do the shading and lighting on here, I'm actually on a single layer doing the shading and lighting. I'm not changing what the brush color is. I'm not changing any of my colors because the gradients are doing that for me in my gradient mapping setup, I should say. And one of the other things is when you zoom into gradient mapping, if you have two colors that meet, they can kind of create a weird dissonance, and that is one of the reasons why you should not zoom in super close when you're working on something, because majority of the time people will never see that level of detail. But also when I comp it together and I go over top of it, I can continue painting. I can just at that point select the specific color that I want to paint in that detail space. And so you can do that kind of thing. So gradient mapping is great, but you have to remember to kind of back up and like take it at eagle eye and realize that that's how people will see your piece. They will not see that little detail that you're working on in the wrinkle of a shirt. They will gloss over that. And plus, that might not even be the focus of your picture. On this, the focus of the picture is obviously where her face, her arm, chest, and some of the other little details in the center of the picture. This is where the focus should be. And in fact, later on in the picture, I actually just blur half of the bottom half of the picture, but that's because it feels like it should be blurred considering it's going to be super cold down in that area. And that's something that I kind of want to pop out and make apparent and just kind of give, more focus to that upper half of the picture that I think is more important. And of course, with the background and everything. So I've started using gouache for my backgrounds and I love it. Like I love the way that gouache feels. And I love that you can do a lot of detailed stuff with it, but if you leave it kind of just like ambiguous, it kind of adds an almost like depth of field effect. And so I kind of wanted to have the idea of ice behind her without creating very solid edges of ice, because we know that she's Shiva. We know that she's the dominant of Shiva and that ice is Shiva's thing. Like that's already been established. So I don't feel like we need to see the ice very like prominent. We can have the feel of ice. And so that's what I used, the gouache brush for, to try to create that in the background. What I'm doing here is I've started trying to do more texture along some of the edges of clothing and, belt buckles and maybe a sword, and do some more glitter on like the face, like where the cheekbones are, and kind of like the eyelid and things like that, to add the illusion of pores and to kind of make it stand out a little bit more. And so I learned to do that during the lighting phase. Saw a couple videos of people kind of doing that during their speed paint, and they were talking and they did it during the lighting phase, and I was like, that's exactly when you should do it. So that's something I've been kind of working on. Things with like the hair and stuff, I'm trying to leave parts of the hair not as vibrant and not as focus worthy, and keeping that kind of dark. And then you see like the bottom half of this, I'm trying to darken a little bit. I did change the way the background looks just a little bit. So I'm trying to make sure that whatever I have image wise, it leads into her and the focus. Here I'm actually trying to fix the face because I did not like the way that the face came out originally, and I'm going in and I'm doing some little touch-ups on her face because I feel like I need to touch up her face just a little bit, and then the finished image will come up here shortly. So this is just one of those things where I absolutely love this character, and I absolutely love drawing, things like this. And with that, we are done with another speed paint. I'm the prize winning Squid. Thank you guys for watching. If you love speed paints, if you want to see more art advice, art reviews, and art related things, please do not forget to subscribe. And also, don't forget to visit my website, artbytheprizewinningsquid.com. I also have a Patreon now. That's patreon.com/theprizewinningsquid, where you can get exclusive Patreon only artwork to use as study reference. You'll get to see work in progress posts about my comic series, Talia, and you'll get to read some of it before it comes out. And at the higher tiers, you'll also get physical Squid art in your physical mailbox throughout the year. Anyway, I'm the prize winning Squid, and I'm going to get out of here. You guys, please stay moist, stay hydrated, stay squiddy. It's a Squid salute. I'll see you next time. Take care.